This is the Day 1 lesson video for Coordinate Geometry 5. Coordinate Geometry 5 uses skills that you have learned from all of your experiences in algebra and geometry and puts them together. None of these are skills that you haven't seen or done in other ways, and you're bringing them together in one place. On Day 1, we're doing it we do, you do style, where we'll go through one together on the video, and you'll do the same on the notes page. Please keep in mind you should stop the video, catch up, and take good, careful notes neatly. Then on the other side, once you finish the video, you have one task to complete. Think of it as your practice or assignment task to work on this. There will be a second day on Coordinate Geometry 5. The task that you've got on the we do side is for a particular triangle, and I've got a rough sketch of it. I suggest you might want to make the same. They would like us to find the circumcenter coordinates. The circumcenter coordinates, we should think about what it is we're tasked to do. It will make the job a lot easier. So we have to find an ordered pair that represents the point where the two, actually we're all, but where at least two of the perpendicular bisectors cross. What we know from doing this by construction is that all three of the perpendicular bisectors will cross at the same point. Locating where two of them cross then finds us that circumcenter point that we seek. So on my picture, my rough sketch will be to pick one side and sketch in its perpendicular bisector. So for side AB, my perpendicular bisector would roughly, and this is a sketch, be the line through the midpoint to side AB, perpendicular to side AB. I would need to then locate the perpendicular bisector of at least one more side. I'm going to choose AC and put in a rough sketch of what its perpendicular bisector would look like so that I've got a guide to what I'm looking for. This doesn't give me any actual numbers or values, but it gives me some really good ideas of what I need to find. So I'm going to start with side AB. I'm going to work on finding its perpendicular bisector equation, a way to describe that line. Then I'll find a way to describe the perpendicular bisector for side AC, an equation for that line. Then I'll need my algebra skills to take the equations for two lines, a system of equations, and find the point at which they cross algebraically. So side AB, in order to find a perpendicular bisector equation for it, I need its midpoint. And as you work through midpoint formula, you're averaging x coordinates and you're averaging y coordinates. Make sure that you've got good algebra work. So the ordered pair negative 2, 5 is a point on my perpendicular bisector because it's the midpoint of the side. The slope of side AB is not the equation slope that we seek. However, because it's perpendicular to the line that we're working on, if we can get the slope of side AB, we can then use it to find the slope of the perpendicular. So the slope of side AB is 1. So then the slope that would be perpendicular to it would have a slope of negative 1. So I need to describe that line, an equation that goes through the ordered pair negative 2, 5 with a slope of negative 1 in point slope form, which will work quite well. That would be an equation that could be used to represent that. So I'm going to keep that one for later because that describes one of my perpendicular bisectors. I need to go through that same process again now and find one for another of the perpendicular bisectors. So for side AC, you could, by the way, do side BC. You just need two of them. Again, I'm going to go through and find the midpoint. Okay, and you should take the moment to show good work here and find those midpoint coordinates. And when you do, the midpoint will be at 4, 2. Please show your work. When you find the slope for side AC, pause the video as you need to so that you're actually calculating that. Slope for side AC comes up as negative 12 over 6 or negative 2. So therefore, the two things that I'm going to use to write the equation for the perpendicular bisector will be 4, 2. And then a perpendicular would have a slope of positive 1/2 to that side. So the equation that could be used to describe the perpendicular bisector of that side would be y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 4. And that would take you through at least having a way to describe the two perpendicular bisectors. Then, in order to find the circumcenter point that we seek, we need a way that we can find their intersection. So taking those same two equations that I had up above, apparently not that way though, taking the equation y minus 2, we're going to solve that as a system. And the other equation had been, when we solve as a system, you have many options. You have elimination and you have substitution. I prefer, and you can stop the video and work it in the way that you prefer, I prefer to move my equations into y equals mx plus b form or standard form in order to solve. So I'm going to take my blue equation, I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to move the 5 over. So I'm going to distribute the -1 and add the 5 so that I have an equation in slope-intercept form. And I'm going to choose the method then that makes the most sense for the system that I see. I'm going to do the same for my green equation. I'm going to distribute that and move that over. So I have y equals 1/2 x minus 2, bring the other 2 over. And so the system that I'm going to solve, and you can move it around many different ways, the system I'm going to choose to solve looks like that. And when I look at that, for me, that screams substitution to me. You could also do that by elimination, so go back to your good system solving skills. So my final task then in finding that circumcenter will be to take those two equations. I'm going to solve by substitution, so instead of y equals -x plus 3, I'm going to say that 1/2 x, this needs to equal this. There's a little transitive property in action, a little substitution, if you want to think about it that way. So there's the equation I need to solve to find the x coordinate where they intersect. I'm going to clear the fractions by multiplying both sides of the equation by 2. So my equation to solve becomes when is x equal to -2x plus 6. I'm going to add 2 x's to both sides. And I find that these two lines will cross when x is 2. My next task then is to find the other part of the ordered pair. So I'm going to go back to one of the equations that describes the relationship. You could go back to either. Then I'm going to take that one. And when x is 2, the y value associated with it on that line is 1. So to answer the question of where is the circumcenter for this triangle, circumcenter for this triangle is located at the ordered pair 2, 1. So please be sure you go onto the back side of this and complete your you do task and read as you find the centroid coordinates and think about the two equations you'll need to write and then how to solve them as a system to find that centroid location.